Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. Haven't logged a lot of TV time lately, but good to get back here, and good to have a couple guests today. Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman. Sean Adkins, the St. Albans Town Manager. Good to see you folks. Good to have you back on the set. I guess maybe starting with St. Albans Bay. I think we touched on this maybe last show, which was quite a while ago, but the Bay's getting a fair amount of attention. Sean, again, looking to come up with kind of a comprehensive plan for the future of the Bay, or you get into that if you would.
Yeah, it's kind of the St. Albans Bay Village Master Plan.
Master Plan. And again, St. Albans Bay is an official village?
Village designation, yep.
Designation from the state?
Village center, I guess, technically, yep. So yeah, it's kind of looked at it, and truth be told, I think for me at least, the motivation came from as I saw old pictures and paintings of the Bay. You know, kind of when, of course, the paintings are, pre-photograph era.
Yeah.
But to see that and see what it once was.
Boy, it used to be. It used to be what, trolleys from the city
bustling
down to the Bay with folks getting on an excursion boat. It used to be just sounded like a mob scene down there.
Yeah, and really up until the railroad. This was kind of from what I understand, the hub of St. Albans. And I believe it's called Port Washington at the time.
Oh, is that right? Port Washington?
Yeah, which I believe is what we named our meeting room after in the new building.
Yeah, really.
So it was once a bustling, area. And, but it's still our crown jewel. So it's kind of like, all right, how can we get back to that, in a way.
Yeah.
It'll never be a port, to Montreal or anything like that. Yeah. Nor does it need to be, but to just have it be itself, be unique. Everything that's kind of happened has happened organically, but to really kind of actually see what it could be, from transportation, from the organization of the streets, infrastructure, it's planned development, the Bay Park. It's really just an attempt to involve the community to see what we want to become.
Jonathan, it was some years ago. I know Warren Ham was one of the folks pushing this, but when there was a push to do something with the Bay, I forget the specific plans, but there was some concern on some folks, we don't want another Mallett's Bay. And I think it was a ballot item in the town. Does that ring a bell at all?
I don't know if it was a ballot. Well, I
almost think it was, and it got voted down, I think, pretty decisively.
It could have been. We had a what was it? I think it was a police advisory board that we had that I sat on with Al Vogel and Rear Admiral Ham at the time.
Yeah.
And we talked about doing a mooring placement and some mooring studies.
Probably working on the dock, maybe doing something.
And that might have been in before my time, but I remember doing some, like, we were going to designate an area to have moorings in it, but that was that's kind of ahead of what. It's probably years out before we get to that point, because we talked about putting moorings out in front of like the boat launch and stuff like that, but then that creates an issue there, with traffic. So I don't think it went very far.
So is this early in the process of this, Sean, or where do we stand with this effort?
Oh, the actual master plan. No, I think we're in the home stretch on that. Actually,
really?
Yeah, it's been going on for. I don't think we've hit 6 months, but we put it out to bid for RFP last year. We got a grant to do it.
Oh yeah.
And the SE Group is the group that won the bid. A big part of why we picked them too is their principal has a home in the Bay, in Hathaway. Yeah. So he also wants to see it kind of return to glory, for lack of a better term.
And there were some public meetings about this, obviously. Right?
Yep. And we actually just awarded the gift cards. We put another survey out. Through the study, and we actually had quite the turnout for that. We had something like 50, 60 plus respondents, which was very, for a survey, it might not sound like a lot, but for a survey, that's actually pretty awesome. Yeah. For a community of our size, that's a pretty good feedback. And we gave out.
There were obviously a lot of ideas people had. Did a lot of people hit on the kind of the same ideas, or a lot of different thoughts from people?
A lot of different thoughts. I'd say the theme is pretty much the same, although there's still some folks that kind of might be a little hesitant to see any change, and that's normal. And we're going to publish all of this. So when the study comes out, I anticipate them being done early next year on that front. I think we have one more public meeting on that, but it's going to be exciting. They're going to do renderings of what it might look like. And these are there's engineers involved to say what might not work, what's a little unrealistic. So I'm really excited for the end.
Does the former town hall figure into this? That's right in the heart of this.
Yeah, it certainly will be.
And
Yeah.
that begs the question, any news on the former town hall?
It's still up for sale.
It's still up for
Yeah.
sale?
Yeah, you want to buy it?
Yeah, if you want to buy it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has anybody bid? Is there any interest in it?
Yes, there have. We've gotten, there's been interest. It hasn't obviously closed or anything like that, but
So is there a deadline for when people can submit a bid on this? Does this go on indefinitely?
we did that process, and I guess had dare I say, like a winner, but somebody did submit a bid and we accepted it, but they ended up pulling their bid.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what are, you mentioned there'll be renderings. What are some of the possible ideas for the bay? Are we talking, the Bay Park with the Bay Park chain? Of course, the old stone house you've been
But I
working
think-
on too.
Well, one of the things I noticed in our last meeting or our public forum that we had with them, they showed us like some intersection designs because we got that intersection right at the
Right.
bay in front of the dock.
Yeah.
That's
A couple awkward
not the best, and
intersections.
then we got the 5-cornered one down off Georgia Shore that's not,
Yeah.
So they gave us some options, just preliminary, nothing like set in stone. But I
Yeah.
think that's what you're going to see,
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And streetscapes and, potential upgrade at the pier and stuff like that.
The bay, will the bay dock get some attention? Is that always the thought, to try to do something with the bay dock? I know you've looked at that, and I guess the price tag was kind of scary, but, I keep hearing the bay dock getting attention once in a while.
Yeah, it is getting attention with this project too. And that we've come to find out through the group doing the study of actually more affordable options to do kind of like I guess a little uplift on it that wouldn't be, the entire rebuilding of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, even though it gets underwater, whoever built it pretty sturdy. Because we have
Pretty
to go
solid.
through the snow and freezing
Yeah.
and still be.
No, it's still pretty solid. I'm
Yeah.
down there pretty often. No, I'm impressed. That thing's not going
Yeah.
away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's been, it's
Boy,
impressive.
speaking of the bay, I'm struck. I've been on the road a lot, but boy, you can just about walk from Kilcare out to Mosquito Island these days without getting your feet. Just a real low lake.
Yeah.
And the trout word, I was down in southern New England for about a week. Boy, the trout word's getting a lot of attention down there. I guess not quite as much up here, but sounds like late. I should know, we're taping this show on Tuesday, November 19th. Sounds like late this week we might finally get some decent rain. But boy, the lake is
The ground,
really low
the
right
ground
now.
is dry. I got some pumps at home, and they haven't ran,
Is
and
that
I
right?
haven't heard them turn on for a while.
Wow.
And they usually run 365.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's dry.
Wow.
And while there's a burn ban still in effect, I believe.
Right.
So
Yeah.
everything's dry.
Interesting. So will voters get a shot at this, Sean? You get the study back, and what happens when you get kind of the recommendations? How do you deal with this down the road?
Well,
Or does that remain to be seen, I guess?
yeah, that remains to be seen, because it wouldn't be done in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it as I look at most studies, really, it's kind of like a lighthouse. So like there, you see it, how we get there is that varies per project, per area. I'd love to do the whole thing in one fell swoop, but
Yeah.
can't even imagine the price tag, and especially without knowing the final recommendations yet.
Right.
Right now, it's just in the excitement phase, and to really paint the picture, even literally, and see how the public reacts, see which priority is at the top, and move forward.
How are you faring with the old stone house? I think you've been looking for ideally to get, and again, you can't make major changes. You still need a slate roof. You can't mess with their,
Yeah.
ideally, it'd be nice to get a new slate roof.
But I
The
think
slate part wasn't the issue.
No, that's not the issue.
It was the size of the slate that the state
Ah.
has insisted that we do the same.
But I think this whole plan we got for the bay is going to incorporate some of the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stonehouse plans also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
That's a fun one.
sounds like another good summer for the Bay Park. I'm not sure the farmer's market had the best weather at times, but I think you
Yeah.
just really hit on something with the Thursday farmer's market and mixing music in with it.
Yep.
It seemed like another pretty good summer down there.
Yeah, for sure. We had a lot of good music and good events. And actually on that front, in the Bay Park at Stonehouse is our Holly Jolly Jamboree. this year.
When's that coming up?
On December 7th.
December 7th?
Yep,
Oh,
yeah, the
good.
tree lighting. We're actually doing some new things this year with that. It's going to be like a lighted path or lit path, and Santa Claus will be there to give out presents to kids, and there'll just be a lot going on.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. No, it's a
Yeah.
great place to be around Christmas. The tree,
starts
you
at
guys do a
4:30.
great job. I love the tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. So that's not too far away.
No, yeah.
And any Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving, of course, is coming up next week. Any Thanksgiving? I guess people do what they want to do at Thanksgiving. No,
pretty
I guess the
much,
town
yeah.
doesn't need to jump into Thanksgiving.
Well, that's actually historically, not last year, but in years past,
Yeah.
we've done Holly Jolly on Black Friday.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we didn't do it last year because of
Huh.
one of our staff had something to do, an issue, but.
But decided to push it back a little bit?
Yep. You kind of figure, just like you said, there's people
Yeah.
are doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
either in turkey coma or shopping and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
we figured to push it a week and light it up like the tree then. So.
Right. How did the marina look like? By the looks of it, looked like the marina had a pretty good summer in terms of.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it looks like they've been doing better year after year.
yeah.
Did those guys have any thoughts on the future of the Bay? I
Oh,
can
yeah.
only assume they had some thoughts. Huh?
Yeah. Chuck's been involved.
Yeah.
He's in fact, he said he'd even like to be involved more, but that's how well he's doing because he's pretty busy. So, but yeah, we've kept reached out to residents and local business owners to make sure.
Some hope, talking about the dock, some hope for in the future an excursion boat coming back. Does that get some attention? Does that seem possible, or that got any attention?
I mean, I think it would be possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a ton on that front.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that people wouldn't be excited about it. Yeah. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And that brings to mind, of course, the former Public Works site right on the bay.
Mhm.
So that who knows? Any news on that?
That study is wrapping up, so I think we'll get the final report on that within should be by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be presented and published publicly too.
But it sounds like the town's likely to hang on to that, Jonathan, or not necessarily.
At this point, I think we'd hang on to it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, it has a lot of moving, that intersection has a lot of moving part, like we
Yeah.
might need some of that property, so we got a lot of stuff happening
Yeah.
in that area. And even on the adjacent land from the new town hall, we have vacant property there also we can do something with, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we don't want to give it up if we're gonna
Yeah.
do something. We want to make sure we have everything that we need.
And I guess that's useful at times. It's come up a few times, I guess, for parking, extra parking for very well-attended meetings when
Yeah.
hot issues come up once in a while or something.
Yeah, we
so-
do,
We've
well,
already done that a few
DPW
times.
drops a chain or opens a gate for us.
Is that right?
If we need
Yeah.
to.
And also too, I mean, if you just look at the lake shore, like we'll never get lakefront property again. It's pretty
Yeah.
much all filled up. So we kind of view it as a pretty important piece in the future planning. Yeah.
So again, back to the former town hall. So there's been some interest. Obviously, you hope someone will buy this at some point.
I do. I still hold faith. Yeah. Regardless of how long it's
And the
taken.
likeliest use, housing or who?
Mixed use.
Mixed
Yeah.
use.
Yeah. I think the best fit for it would be first floor retail, commercial, and two apartments upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you think if there's going to be more life to the bay in the future and stuff, that might figure into that.
Oh yeah.
You think there'll be some later use out of the former town hall, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It would sell tomorrow if there was a water
Water,
sewer
sewer.
line out in the street.
Yeah.
Like that thing would have been gone.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Probably could
Oh,
have.
yeah.
So
definitely.
that's a
big
big
holdup.
issue.
Yeah, because you limited it, it's a pretty big building overall. I think it's
Right.
9,000 square feet with a basement.
Right.
You got a lot of real estate there, but your hands are tied.
That's a big issue.
Mhm.
It's like every building down there, your hands are tied with what you can do because of your wastewater.
And speaking of that, some attention was given, taking a look at a possible wastewater facility in the bay. Is that still possible, or does that just seem extremely unlikely with the price tag? You were giving that a bit of attention, weren't you? To see if there was a possibility to,
I think we talked about localized or
Yeah.
Decentralized system.
system like that, but
Yeah.
I think the recent
agreement.
we got was to pump it back up to the city with a pump
Yeah.
station.
Yeah.
Would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Have we got a rough price tag on that if you went that route?
Rough only. So, yeah. Just to the bay, we have figures for the whole town and then for the bay.
Huh.
So I want to get as much OPM as possible, but other
Yeah.
people's money.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking for the bay, give or take 8 to 10 million.
Is that 8 to 10 mil?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, but that's,
Wow.
before we get a PER, it's not, we can't really stand behind any number yet. So
Yeah.
we feel good about the accuracy of the report and stuff, but we'll never know until we get into it.
How did the Bay fare water quality wise? I get from the Lake Champlain Committee, I get their weekly cyanobacteria reports, and it sounds like the Bay had its share of that even a couple times. Kilcare is my main swimming place in summer,
Yeah.
and even Kilcare even had issues at least a few times.
Yeah, last year we had more issues than this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
2 summers ago?
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it depends on water flow. You didn't have a lot of water flow coming in from Black Bridge, as you can tell by the lake level right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that, from the weed harvesting to the legacy phosphorus that goes unaddressed, it seems to be. There's a ton of it out in the bay that sits on the bottom, and
Just, it's been
what
there for,
been there for years. From what
150 years,
from
yeah.
what I'm told,
Yeah.
that's like one of the major contributors, but yet we don't address
because I've
it.
always heard the same thing.
Same thing. So I to say the water's cleaner this year than last year, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I think, if you did water and sewer, you could guarantee that the sewer from any leach field or septic tank isn't going in
Yeah.
around the bay also. I think there's a bunch of avenues where every little bit helps, but
Yeah. I guess the state's been pressing, I think it's what mandated the communities that have wastewater facilities are under a mandate to reduce their phosphorus.
The MS4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, we're one of those, unfortunately. And it's just, I guess, we don't have our own system. So
and this is the impaired waterway, the stormwater issue, or is this is that issue you're talking about, or the MS4, is that a separate issue than the stormwater and the impaired waterways and all those projects?
technically separate. Yeah.
Technically separate?
Yeah, yeah, but there's also a lot of overlap too. At the same time as the phosphorus flow, there's the MS4, there's a whole lot of, those are the two major ones. And we certainly didn't apply to be an MS4, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
We were just told it. But that's, I think there's 14 of us localities that were told that we were MS4 communities.
Really?
And they gave us a list of projects that if we were to do them all today, it would cost close to $30 million.
30 mil?
Yeah. Yeah.
but Tanglewood project has started.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
underway. The
Oh, yeah.
pond's built. Have you been
Yeah.
over?
Everybody
I
everybody can
drove
see
by
their,
it.
their neighbors now.
Yeah, it's came a long way.
Yeah. It looks like almost a different neighborhood.
Is that the first project you're moving on, or are there others that are underway too?
That's the first one, that major one that broke ground. Technically, I believe it's going to be the most expensive, knock on wood. Clyde Allen project, which is also on the MS4 list, should be out to bid easily by the end of the year, if not the end of the month. So, yeah, those are two projects that I know, especially Tanglewood, that folks have been waiting for decades to do that one. So,
And funding for this, is it some town money? Is it mostly outside money, or what's the funding situation with this?
it's both. It's thankfully to our stormwater utility fee, we could match basically, and we've been
Yeah.
pretty fortunate to get grants for these two projects. The state granted us $459,000 that we could put towards the Tanglewood project, which has
Yeah.
turned out to be around $600.
Huh.
And Tanglewood, Clyde Allen's a little bit less expensive, but still could probably come in around $500,000. And thanks to the stormwater utility fee, we could match the grant and kind of leverage those funds better.
And the stormwater fee, town residents have been paying that for a while now?
I think it's the third year. Yeah.
Is that our third year?
$50.
Is that once a year they get hit with that, or?
Yep.
Yeah, residences are $50. I think businesses are different.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
based
different
on
equation.
an ERU.
The
Impervious
residents are
surface and stuff.
$50,
Mhm.
so that's not too much of a hit.
Mhm.
Still a hit.
Still
Yeah.
a hit,
Yeah.
still a hit. Makes me think of LOT money, local option tax money,
Yeah.
which of course has been going to pay for Town Hall, the Public Works Garage, but you still, and any thoughts on, you still making money, you still have, you're getting more money, you're not spending all that money on like Town Hall. In fact, is the Public Works building, is that paid off now?
It is, yeah.
I guess you told me that before.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a ways to go in the Town Hall, I assume, is that a bunch of years?
Yeah, yeah, we probably got 6 years or so.
That's not too, that's not too bad.
We did a 10-year loan on
It's a
that.
cheap, that's like 2.7% interest rate.
Yeah. Is
that
It's
right?
just cheap, it's a cheap interest rate, so.
Yeah.
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 just go-
So the LOT money that you're getting, any, I'm sure you have thoughts, any firm plans on what to do with that, kind of extra LOT money?
Fire department and the water sewer project are, I would say, at the top of that
Fire
list, and and some sidewalks too.
And sidewalks?
Yeah. So, and all 3 projects, obviously sidewalk projects is not just one, but
Yeah.
there's going to be a series of them. They're going to be relied on using LLT to leverage for grants
Yeah.
to kind of extend that money even more. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a great thing.
Fire department, you're taking a look at is this pretty firm? You need a new fire department headquarters at some point, and that study or whatever is underway?
Yeah, right now I'm actually looking for we have the RFP ready for A&E, but I want to see if we can get a grant to help pay for that. So you don't want to put it out yet before you apply, get the money. So
Yeah.
then that's a little bit of a snag, right? Not a snag, but just delays it.
Have you got enough room at the current site? Is that the likeliest place for the new headquarters, Jonathan, or not
So,
clear?
we did talk to the cemetery, that's who we actually
Oh,
have a
yeah.
long-term lease with.
Oh,
They
really?
don't charge us much,
Oh,
and they said we could have more land, I believe,
Yeah,
correct?
they've already given us the go-ahead on that.
yeah, really?
So that's not an issue there.
So that's clearly where the new
That's a preferred site right now.
preferred site?
Yeah.
Right, we also, we're trying to take over Route 36 too.
Yep.
So we can get water and sewer down through there with ease, so you don't
Yeah.
have to go
Huh.
through AOT, because as you know, when you gotta deal with
Yeah.
AOT, stuff just gets,
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
delayed.
little red
Are you
tape.
making any progress on that front?
yes.
Oh, is
yes,
that right?
Very good progress,
Pretty close.
actually.
I guess, why would the state not want it? Wouldn't the state like to
They're
have
they're right
towns?
now.
Why wouldn't they be happy to have the town take over that road?
They actually said that when I talked to them on
Yeah.
the phone a month ago or so. They're like, they wish more towns.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if the agreement's right and it works out, I think it's a win for both.
Yeah,
Yeah. Plus, that allows us to, besides the water sewer, that intersection that we're talking about down
Yeah.
there, with a lot less red tape to make changes to that.
any thought, I'm sure you have thoughts, what would you like to do with, have you got any particular game plan for that intersection?
There's a lot of momentum towards a 4-way.
Yeah.
Is that right, four-way?
Yeah, that seems to be the prevailing preference.
Boy, having seen how Lake Street and Federal and what Catherine have worked in the city,
Yeah,
I might have mentioned this before, when I first heard about the four-way there,
yeah,
that just sounded insane to me. As I
Yeah.
said probably a bunch of times on different shows, I'm just still stunned how well that just seems to work so
yeah,
well to me. It just totally still blows my mind. I never
Yeah.
would have guessed that would have worked so well.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, when that comes out, we'll obviously have to have it engineered, and, there's a lot
Yeah.
of factors that we don't, or I don't know, I'll say I don't know about traffic flows.
Yeah.
And because there's stop signs down by my house that nobody stops for them.
Is that right?
I mean,
Just
it
so-
just,
5 points. You talking?
yeah, like nobody,
You're talking
like,
Bay Area.
yeah, I mean, it's just, of course, there's not a lot of police presence, there's not, people just right
Yeah.
straight through, so.
Yeah.
Stop, yeah, the one up in the city, it works beautifully,
Yeah.
but does it fit? I don't know that at this
I already kind of stop when I'm coming down Lake because it's just such an awkward turn
Yeah.
that you don't know where.
You don't know where
Anybody
everybody's
is.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does need to be addressed with something. I don't know
Yeah.
if a roundabout, I don't think there's enough real estate there to,
Yeah.
you'd be taking some
That'd
of
be
the
tight.
store and taking some of Chuck's,
Yeah.
and then the brick house, you'd probably be encroaching on his
Boy,
parking.
it's hard to picture there
Yeah.
being enough room for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because it's
General-
not very big.
Yeah.
No, I guess general rule of thumb, things I did not know about before looking into a lot of this stuff, is 100 feet that you need from the side
that
to
right?
side. Yeah.
Isn't that getting, again, that makes me think of Exit 19.
Mhm.
I guess Agency of Transportation's taking a a look at that, and they've mentioned a possibility of a roundabout in the future there?
that's-
Does that sound even likely, or?
They've chosen it, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
They asked for the select board's kind of endorsement for that a
That's
few
right.
months ago.
Did you endorse
Oh,
that?
yeah, they showed us a bunch of data. I mean, you can sit there and say that a roundabout isn't right or whatever, but like,
Yeah.
they're the traffic people, like, you
Yeah.
know, they showed us that there was only one time
Huh.
where the traffic might be slower.
Huh.
And Brian Deloria questioned that, you know, what was it? But the rest of the times, it shows you like how long your stoppage
And it
is.
works
And
better.
it smooths out like 97% of the issue.
Really?
Yeah. It looked great to
Oh,
me.
they did
You know,
a
the
good-
problem is people, around here, there's not a lot of roundabouts,
Right.
Yeah.
you know? But I think once it's in the area and people get used to it,
Yeah.
you know,
Sounds
like the
like they-
one,
yeah.
it's like the one up towards Hardwick and Morrisville, I think there's 3 right in a row right
Yeah,
there. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
once you've been through it a handful of times,
Yeah.
you just gotta get used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in south of Boston, and they're big on rotaries down there. About a
Yep.
quarter mile from the house I grew up in, there's a big rotary, so they've been part of my life growing up. But yeah, I think when people get used to them, but it sounds like they've become increasingly popular. Seems
Yeah.
like I read a lot more about roundabouts, rotaries in different states.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of kickback anywhere they're put in
Sure.
and resistance, and then they get used to it. And it's,
Have we got a time frame? What's AOT talking for a time frame for this, if anything? Is this
probably 26 at the earliest.
is that 26 at the earliest?
It was a little ways out.
I guess they did
Yeah.
make, I was on there just yesterday, I guess they did put in the right turn lane if you're
Yeah.
coming off the interstate.
Yeah.
I think that even had crossed my mind years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a right turn lane? So they finally did that.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that
been the
seems to have
one,
helped
that's the
too.
one change so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah.
I don't think about that too much. Once in a while when I'm heading out there, just commuter time in the morning, you can get backed up pretty
Yeah.
good. And I suspect on the other, later in the day, the same thing. That
Yeah.
can be an issue at times.
Yeah.
So restaurant, of course, I love it when the motel went in, however many years ago that was. Oh, of course, there'll be a restaurant coming in next to it. And you ever hear anything about a restaurant by exit 19?
I haven't.
No.
No.
Starbucks is, I guess, going over here.
Yeah.
Have we got a Starbucks coming to
Yeah.
town?
Yeah, that's at the entrance here.
Oh, is that
Franklin
right?
Park, yeah.
Oh, well, is that new, fairly new news?
We called it the Coffee House Project for a while.
Oh, is that
We didn't
right?
know, they didn't tell us the brand.
But it's Starbucks, huh?
Yeah.
I don't even drink coffee, but I got to think that's one of my good friends who I play golf with literally drives down to, I think, Essex every day for a Starbucks. So
Yeah.
I guess he'll be happy unless he likes
Yeah.
getting out of the house maybe for a bunch of time. But,
Yeah.
Oh, so any other news like that? Any other businesses coming to town? Any other new news on that front?
I think the Ocean State Job Lot
yeah.
opens the end of the week.
No, is that right? They're
Yeah,
about
very
to
soon.
open?
Yeah.
Very soon they're
Well, I've
about
been
to
seeing
open.
their ads for it. I've always run across your ads and,
Yeah,
The one
never-
in
never-
town, I love it.
Oh, is that-
Yeah,
is that right?
It's a great store.
oh, really?
yeah, it was busy over
Yeah, it
there.
doesn't sound like a bad store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They get so many deals, I don't know how the business model works, but it clearly works. It's a
Interesting.
good thing for us, yeah.
Any other news for Highgate Commons? Boy, there are more than a few vacancies out there these days.
Yeah, they're a great group to work with. I
Yeah.
talked to.
Is it a pretty new owner for
Oh, yeah.
Highgate Commons?
Yeah, we've been, honestly, we met with them
Huh.
November of '23, so about a year ago, I think was
Yeah.
the first time we met with them. And, you know, they had to work out it took a while, but they closed on it, I think in May or June.
Yeah.
And they're just like pedal to the metal. They're actually making
Huh.
renovations for, like, ahead of time for
Really?
folks, and apparently that might not have been the case before.
Wow.
So, like, current tenants, from what I'm told, are very happy. And
I know the thrift store. I'm a thrift store kind of guy.
yeah, she just
And they were
relocated.
so happy to move across to the old, I guess, Radio Shack
Yeah,
locale for just at least twice as much room.
yeah,
I love thrift stores, but boy, their older space was just tough, as they were quick to acknowledge. It was
Yeah.
just so tight in
so
there.
small. Yeah,
Trying to pull out a shirt or coat to look at was difficult, so.
yeah,
Yeah, they were so happy to get more space.
yeah. No, everybody I know that is in there has been over the moon about the new owners. So,
Interesting.
and I know they're just doing a whole lot. And I'll just, I guess, leave it at that. Let them say it, but to fill the spaces. So.
Yeah. That's right. Obviously not the best days for retail, but nice to see some life at times.
Mhm.
Folks who kind of go the other way.
And some non-retail potentially.
Yeah,
going
yeah.
in there. Yep. So
Interesting.
it's pretty neat.
So big news in the town, of course, with St. Albans Police Department taking over coverage, patrolling St. Albans Town on July 1st. How do you think that's gone so far? Several months into this, Jonathan?
I think it's going well.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
How are they doing for I'm going to be interviewing St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith next week. I'm sure I'll be asking him about the staffing. Are they holding up staffing okay, or?
well, they just had the joint police board meeting the
Yeah.
other day, so Sean can enlighten you on staff. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
update. They always said they've been right there where they need to be, but
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Doing okay staff-wise?
Yep, as good as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of across, as everybody knows, across the region, across the country, it's a
Sure.
tough gig. I believe they just hired the second of the street crimes unit. So they want to hire the first person who has something like 18 years of undercover.
So that should
experience.
be going pretty soon if
Yeah.
it's not already.
Yeah, so then they want him to hire the next person to complete the unit. So I
Yeah.
believe that's right, just about done.
Yeah.
So, but they've got a few active, military folks
Right.
that can get called away, to duty,
Yeah.
and so that poses problems, obviously. So,
Yeah.
but right now, everything's fully staffed.
Yeah. Does it seem like there's more of a visible police presence? Because I know the sheriff's department was running into some staffing, I guess save you guys some money on the contract, but
Yeah.
does it seem like there's a more visible presence, or is it just hard to really say?
Well, because
I saw him on Kellogg yesterday.
yeah, just because of all the issues with the homeless.
Plenty of issues.
And not just homeless, I don't want to categorize them, but with the drug problem and
Yeah.
everything, like, I know a lot of their focus has been on that, and with
Yeah.
the thefts from the retail, like, even we get it out here, like, it's just not the city, it's it's throughout St. Albans.
Yeah.
So
They get a ton of calls to go to Walmart.
yeah, like
That's
the-
I bet they get more than
Yeah.
a few calls for
Yeah.
Walmart, huh?
Yeah,
So-
daily, I think a couple times.
Is that
daily.
right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
yeah, so it puts a big burden on them. So I'm not going to say that they're not doing their job, because
Yeah.
they're doing their best with what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the times out there. But I think stuff has calmed down. Like
Yeah.
the thefts,
Yeah.
the stuff that goes on when it gets dark out, I think that's subsiding a little
Yeah.
bit.
I was raking leaves at my house the other day in the city, and Mayor Smith came by with his pickup truck full of leaves. I guess maybe going out to Hoodax wherever. He said, "Richard, I'll come back." I said, "No," but I did talk to him for just a couple minutes, and I'm going to interview him next week. But I asked him about the public safety issue, and he said things had gotten better. I guess it doesn't hurt the winter's coming. I guess that probably helps, but he said things had gotten better anyway.
Yeah.
But boy, talk about a huge issue. And again, hardly just St. Albans, all
Yeah.
over the place.
And some
I've
of the-
got friends who boycott Burlington who will not go near Burlington.
Yeah, Burlington's a little rough. Yeah.
Anyway, but it seems, are there any still encampments around, Jonathan? Any in the town?
Sean and his crew cleaned one up last week,
Mm-hmm.
Really?
one of the bigger ones, and I went down
Might be
there
the
a
biggest
couple
one.
times.
Where was that?
Behind Domino's.
Huh.
But
Yeah.
and
They had an explosion back there.
that's when they had the fire
Yeah.
a couple
Really?
weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I was amazed on how much stuff was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was it was incredible. It was like
really.
yeah, you like
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot.
How many people were down there?
We don't know specifically, but at least 15.
Is that right?
Yeah. And some of them were housed by CBOEO, I believe, or so they found some housing for
Huh.
a good chunk of them. Yeah.
That's right. I noticed just in the news, as you folks did, some TV coverage to Spectrum, I guess, going for a homeless, what was that, the old Red Top restaurant there?
Yeah,
Right near Food City. I guess they have plans to make a homeless shelter out of that with, I think,
Oh, yeah.
10 beds, I think was their
Okay.
plan anyway.
I didn't hear of it.
Yeah. It's good.
Of course, I think some of the city folks have been just wondering, boy, we have services for these people, but
Yeah.
is that the way, is that the way we should go? Are we just encouraging more people to come to town or come to the area?
Yeah. It's
And I'm not sure there are easy answers to
No.
questions like that.
If there is, tell me.
Yeah.
it's a hard one. But to kind of touch upon the number, I guess, of crime or theft and all that. Excuse me. Chief Lamont, he said, has been here for 26 years or so in law enforcement.
Yeah.
He said it's the craziest summer he's ever.
Is that
part
right?
of,
The craziest summer?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And it has kind of subsided over the last couple of months, but
Wow.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
no, tough time. Yeah, Chief Lamont, of course, logged a lot of times with Vermont State Police.
Yeah,
And whenever I talk to Bill Sheets, the Swanton Village manager, former longtime VSP guy,
yeah,
he has stats and just the number of troopers that they're down statewide is.
yeah,
But again, it sounds like just about everybody's running into that.
yeah. It's tough.
Aside from homeless issues, stuff like that, what other, when you're talking to people, just crime issues? I mean, is speeding, is that always an issue in the town or maybe every place else, Jonathan? What else do you hear about when people are complaining about stuff?
What I get mostly is speeding.
Speeding?
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
are flying by my house. I'm like, people fly down every road.
Is that right?
Like we gotta pick where we want to put our police, right?
Sure.
You know, and I know speeding is an issue, but they do patrol the roads, because
Yeah.
I know a guy that got stopped on Kellogg Road also, so they're out,
Yeah.
but they're just not sitting there for hours on end.
Right.
You know, they just
Yeah.
can't, they're getting called wherever,
Yeah.
you know, so. That's mostly what I hear.
Plus,
So
there's not a lot of
si-
spots for them
Yeah.
to hang out,
Yeah.
like to park on the road or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sidewalk issue, sounds like you were pretty happy with how things went on
Mm-hmm.
South Main area.
Yep. There. Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of positive feedback.
There's people on it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every time I drive by,
I've
there's
seen
at least a kid or
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah.
There's someone on it, which is great.
Yeah.
I think
For sure.
that's one of the good things that we've done in
Oh,
the
yeah.
town recently. That's,
Boy,
that's
I
awesome.
think you gave me the price tag before. Sidewalks are no cheap date. What's the price for, whatever, I forget what distance you gave me, is it like a mile
Yeah.
aside or?
Yeah, probably a little bit less. Might be a mile, but I mean, remove the retaining wall from the conversation,
Yeah.
and it's about 350,000.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, that that includes traffic control and
yeah,
a whole lot of other things. Yeah.
interesting.
So
Yeah, if we're not on a state highway, I don't think it'll be like.
Hopefully not as bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you have to do,
Yeah.
to satisfy that.
So we're talking
Yeah.
more sidewalks in the town's future, or what are plans for, what are areas for more sidewalks?
Route 7 North is
Of course,
It's
Route 7
currently
North
underway.
getting,
that one's a lot more complicated.
boy, it sounds
So,
like it. You think that's conceivable? It's conceivable though?
It's conceivable.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it's gonna have to be between us, the city, and the state
Yeah.
on that one. Just so it's
Boy, that'd be tremendous if you could pull that
Mhm.
off.
Yeah. Every time I see,
Well, when
a
I see-
woman with a stroller
I hear
on
ya.
the grass on the side of the road, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, let's see if we
And at
can.
night, with early darkness now, 4:30, even
Yeah.
a night or two ago, coming back from,
Yeah.
Highgate Commons and stuff, just in
Yeah.
the dark, people just, right, it might have been a baby carriage or whatever,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
geez, not a good situation.
Yeah. But we're pretty far along the Route 7 North scoping study. It's not like the livability study that they did 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's much more in depth and on the kind of the engineering side of it. But I think the next public meeting is going to be in early January for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of sidewalks, makes me think of the rec path, the hope, at least in the past, hopefully future, to have a rec path sidewalk, at least from Satec out to Collins Purley at least.
Mhm.
That still gets some attention, or?
Oh yeah, yep. We actually have the vast majority of easements needed
Really?
to do that.
Sounds like the huge issue is just crossing.
Crossing the sash.
Whatever they call that, the
Mhm.
highway.
Yeah, that's absolutely the biggest.
And is that, what are the option? I mean,
I've heard of all the ones that they've suggested before. I've heard the tunnel underneath it.
Yeah.
As a lot of people know, that's our ground zero for stormwater.
wow,
So I could never foresee that.
that's hard to picture.
That's hard, yeah.
And a bridge over, sounds like a great idea, but God knows what that would cost, but is that still in the mix?
I actually put in for with Senator Welch and Senator Sanders last
Really?
year for congressionally directed spending for that.
Really? What, a rough price tag on that? Have you got any handle on that?
With all the bells and whistles, it was looking about $2.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
Isn't South Burlington, that's the issue down there, aren't they doing a bridge, a pedestrian
Mhm.
walkway over the interstate from U Mall, I think, over to
didn't
the
it?
city? I think that sounded like that was pretty
Yeah.
solid to move ahead.
I believe so.
Boy,
Yeah.
The cost must be unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. In my mind, I also saw the bridge there being kind of the gateway into
Yeah.
St. Albans. But yeah, there's a pretty price tag on that one.
Interesting. Jonathan, what is, as select board chair, you don't get typically many people showing up at your meetings, unless there's a hot issue once in a while, which obviously, but not many people.
It's pretty dull.
You get called, I was just going to ask you, what issues, any top issues on people's mind? Not particularly?
No.
Yeah.
Now that the election's over with,
Yeah.
everybody's pretty, I don't
Yeah.
know, satisfied, but they're whatever you want to call
Holidays,
it.
holidays coming?
Holidays are here. People are putting all that stuff aside.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
You know, time to be with your family and friends and
Yeah.
stuff like
Sean,
that.
what about you? What are the issues that people buttonhole you? Any big issues that get more attention than other ones?
It's a pretty good mix.
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of issues.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm happy about what I'm about to say, but because like at this point, I know a lot of people now.
Yeah,
It's been a year and a half.
so a year and a half.
Yeah, and so you know, people know me, are very comfortable now, and coming just to drop in, and you know, I'll get somebody just yesterday dropped in to talk
And it's
about
cool
something.
for people to do that, to
Absolutely.
literally just come by.
Yeah, I can't promise that I won't be in a meeting
Sure.
or anything, but yeah,
That's great.
That happens pretty often too. So yesterday was about an issue at the town forest, and it depends on the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking of the town forest, sounds like that's been getting, in fact, I know you gave me the number for Andy Crossman, who I should
Mhm.
track down one of these days.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds
He'd
like
love
he's
to
done
come on.
good
Mhm.
stuff up there.
Yeah, yeah. They're
So again,
expanding that
more
system.
more trails up there.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. And this, like, look, it's not a done deal yet, but the new proposed one is going to be pretty scenic. Yeah.
And even, isn't there even hope to maybe connect a trail from like town
To the rail
forest
trail.
to the rail trail?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see that sooner than later.
Is that-
is
that right?
Andy,
Absolutely.
Andy's really going forward with
Yeah.
that, moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll-
He's an incredible resource for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I neglected that. No, I'll have to try to
He's got
sign
quite
him
the
up for an
background
interview.
too. So
Yeah.
he's
Boy, so that
Good to
sounds
talk
like
to.
you think that'll happen at some point.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Any new initiatives in the town? Anything new we haven't talked about? I'm sure there are plenty of issues out there. Any obvious issues we haven't talked about yet with about 16 minutes left, Sean?
The kind of the big priorities are the water sewer. I know we already touched upon that. But,
Yeah.
you know, and just kind of trying to get as much of that, you know, grant money that we can to try to lower the burden on local taxpayers.
Yeah,
It's kind of a thing where, you know, people, you know, might be a little nervous about change or anything, and what we've kind of said is everything that's really happened in St. Albans has happened organically, mostly
yeah,
in the town, and what we're trying to do is just kind of have a vision, so everybody's, and where everybody's involved, so it's kind of, you know, can we control it, like how do we want to control it and get things going in the direction that we all want. So
Yeah.
it's I know it's kind of general, but that's kind of what all these studies are for, to involve the public. So then when we do stuff, you know, like, hey, like, we did this together, and we were involved. So it won't be all rainbows and unicorns by any means, but we really want to involve people and keep them informed as we move along.
So a year and a half on the job.
Yeah.
You certainly come across feeling pretty comfortable in this job at this point?
Yeah,
Maybe you
I'd like
have
to
for a
think it's
long
settled
time.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
Biggest surprise in the year and a half? I mean, you know, you got some background with this, but I mean, a new state, I mean, a new job. You know, there's some surprises still almost every day for you, or not so much?
Nothing I would say is like surprises.
Yeah.
I'd say like new things come up, but
Yeah.
not surprises. That's just kind of from just the career in public sector.
Yeah,
No, I would rank Vermont as the #1 Dillon Rule state.
number one.
Dillon Rule state.
Huh.
There are many other states that are Dillon Rule, but that's probably the biggest surprise for me is the state and locality's relationship. So.
And again, the surprise about that, what's different about that? Of course, you come from Virginia.
Yeah, I wish they would allow a little bit more home rule, which is the other end of the spectrum on that,
Yeah.
to allow localities to lead how they'd like to.
So
you know.
Vermont is just kind of, the state government just kind of is more,
It trumps it, yeah. So
Yeah.
no matter what, you know, and this is sounding very aggressive, but I don't mean it to. But, you know, if something were to get challenged locally at the state level, you know, whatever the state rule is will, generally speaking, override the
Yeah.
local. So, I mean, Act 250, I guess, is the biggest example of that.
yeah.
That was the biggest surprise, actually. Let me change my answer. Act 250. That was the biggest.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they've made some small steps in that area.
Well,
But
small, seems like every legislative session they're always at least talking about Act 250. I guess they've made some changes, but
yeah,
it seems like I'm always hearing people who are not,
Yeah.
still not happy.
because we could do more to address the housing crisis.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote an editorial about project-based TIFs a few months ago for Emerson, and that was basically a call to action. You know, it was like, hey, we need more housing, so like let us do it.
Yeah,
To be frank, we could do a whole lot quicker if we could utilize every construction season without having a potential delay. You know,
Yeah.
with an appeal for $225 or whatever dollars.
yeah.
That really slows things down a lot. So, yeah, I'll
Any,
get off my high horse. But
I was buttonholed one day by, I probably mentioned this on a past show, someone who deals with affordable housing and said,
Mhm.
Richard, talk to the town folks. They're not doing enough or anything on affordable housing. Are there any affordable housing initiatives in the town?
I would just say that we've loosened zoning regulations quite a bit
Yeah.
to allow for more of it.
Is anybody some folks taking advantage of that or not to date?
Yeah, well, that's where the water sewer conversation comes in, because we could do a lot. We could do more, really
Sure.
across the board, or allow for more across the board. But without public water sewer, it's hard to.
Yeah.
It puts a cap on any
Yeah.
housing. Yeah.
Would you like to see more housing? Is that the people, when they talk to you about issues, does that issue come up with you, Jonathan, much, or?
It does a little bit,
Yeah.
not too much, but yeah, the problem is like the soils can't handle the additional load, so
Yeah.
you need an acre just for a single family home lots of
Wow.
times, you know, so that
Yeah.
we gotta get water and sewer, and whether or not we get creative and say we're gonna extend it, I think we talked about it roughly, say, we're gonna take Brigham Road and extend it down there and see what happens, you know,
Yeah.
we need, if the town can put the infrastructure in, private developers will tap onto it,
Mhm.
you know,
Without a doubt.
so that, we've talked about that, kicked that can around the room a few times, you know, I think we talked about a revolving loan fund or something along
Oh.
those lines.
Yeah,
So I
Still a
think
lot to figure out.
there's still a lot to figure out for sure, and you know whatever everybody's doing with their land, you know, Travis Belisle's doing that.
Mhm.
I don't know, he's doing quite a few houses
Yeah.
down off the end of Pearl Street.
you see the Swanton Wind,
Yeah, he's a swamp.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he's doing that, so that creates housing. Far as like subsidized housing, I don't know if there's any projects, you know,
I
kind
guess-
of like
I guess
going
the
on
big
a
news is the
Street.
Lake Street.
Yeah.
The Lake Street.
And I guess that's
one.
pretty close to finish, I think.
Yeah, they're renting. I think they're already taking leases and rent.
Is that right? Talking, what, 70 units or so?
72, I believe.
72?
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Yeah. We could do more if we were given the opportunity to, I guess is what I'd say on that front.
But without a municipal sewer hook, I mean, there's no way you could do a project like that in the town, or not necessary? Is that-
Without the sewer,
Yeah, without
that'd be tough.
be pretty tough,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Because it wouldn't pay to have all that infrastructure for
Yeah.
Yeah.
a private or decentralized system, just
Yeah.
for one building, nobody would,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work out, I don't think.
Yeah. It's also getting the community, I'd say the state, potentially, I guess more, to warm up more to incentives for this type of thing,
Yeah.
which has been a little bit of a hot button
Huh.
at times, but, you know, in order to get stuff done, people, you know, to build and do stuff like that, it usually takes a little bit of, you know, a nudge, let's just put it that way, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
St. Albans Town Industrial Park, any noteworthy news coming out of the park? I guess Ben and Jerry's was kind of the biggest, was it?
The digester.
The digester?
Yeah. We're actually, the town is already signed on a firm to put together a heavy marketing push
Oh,
for
yeah.
properties in the town, but especially in the industrial park.
And
Yeah.
there's more room in the park. There's definitely
Oh,
room
yeah.
in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's, depending on how you break up the parcels, is a minimum of, I would say, 3. You could do 2 big ones
Really?
or 4 smaller ones, yeah.
Boy, for years, I'm sure I mentioned this point before, for years I would just have people saying, Richard, why can't there be more jobs up here? Why do we all have to
Yeah.
go to Burlington? Well,
Yeah.
there got to be there's a fair number of jobs in the town industrial park, obviously.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
It's certainly not insignificant.
yeah,
Right.
Your Ben and Jerry's, Barry Calabos, and all the other
Yeah.
folks in there.
massive, yeah. And that's kind of the chicken or the egg conversation too,
Yeah.
is do we have the housing to support the jobs?
Yeah.
So it'd be difficult.
And the housing, not to mention the buying, do we have the people to support the jobs would
Exactly.
be another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Well, I think the people will come
Yeah.
mhm.
as long as you have the housing.
Yeah.
Of
course,
it's,
Tim,
it's a
And so is the chicken. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
which comes first? Yeah.
What Tim Smith talks about it with myself, and I'm sure you guys, as an exec director of Franklin County Industrial Development Corp., just, all the people who still do go to the Burlington area for jobs, if you
Mhm.
could, hey, folks, we have some decent jobs up here, why don't you,
Yeah.
hang up here? It sounds like if you,
Yeah.
always potential and stuff, if you can
Yeah.
convince them to take a look around
Yeah.
here.
I've gotten so used to not having to drive in traffic,
Yeah.
living in St. Albans for a year and a half now,
Huh.
that when I go to Burlington, I'm like, this is brutal. Yeah. I was like, what is this? I would hate to do that every day.
Yeah, of course, Vermont looks pretty good to me because I take a southern
Mhm.
trip and get down as far as Savannah, Georgia, and just have
I
to
love
go through
Savannah, yeah.
New Jersey and stuff. And, even
Yeah.
as an old guy, still, driving's not too tough. But boy,
Yeah.
just a day or two each way in New Jersey, I'm so lucky to be up here.
Yeah.
Although I hit Burlington rush hour the other day on the interstate,
Yeah.
just as it was getting dark.
Yeah.
That wasn't a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
I guess it's all relative.
When I would drive back north from the south, I
Yeah.
could always tell I was getting close to home because
Yeah.
of the potholes. It was like traffic and potholes. Yeah. Yeah.
Dairy issues, I'm struck by, dairy doesn't seem to be getting a lot of attention these days. I guess what number of dairy farms in Vermont, I think down to about 500, Jonathan, but, the town still has a few dairy farms.
yeah. I believe it's still. I think there's 5 of them active
Yeah,
there, 4 or
it's-
5. There's not a lot.
Not a lot.
There's not a lot. But
It just seems like dairy just doesn't get a whole lot of attention.
yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah,
It's pretty quiet. There's a few organic farmers out there still.
yeah.
But yeah, nothing. Pretty quiet.
Of course, Mr. Brigham, Jack Brigham comes to mind. Jack certainly paid his dues on that front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Winter projects, any particular projects coming up in winter that are just kind of that time of year, or I think summer is more project time?
Yeah. It's really kind of getting studies, reports wrapped up, and getting ready to put things out to bid for construction season
Yeah.
next year. Yeah. So,
We talk about labor shortage, town workforce, you're pretty stable, you're in good shape for any positions that are, looking to fill at this point?
we lost one of our DPW guys
Yeah.
to moved with family to New Hampshire,
Oh, yeah.
which is a bummer. He's a good guy, good worker, and we're actually interviewing those. We got like at least 15 resumes for that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. So we've got, I think, the first interviews tomorrow, but we've got a good group, 4 or 5 guys we're interviewing.
Interesting. What's the size of the town DPW department?
If you include Dave, about 9.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we'll be, we'll be interviewing for his successor too in the
Oh, is that
near
right?
future. Yeah.
So he's moving on?
Well, he's in his twilight of
Oh, is that
his
right?
career. So I put on his evaluation half jokingly, I said, you can't retire until 2030.
Interesting.
He did sign it, but yeah, no. So,
In fact,
yeah, he's
he
been
guested
incredible.
with us on one show, but
Yeah.
he's done a good job.
He's been awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better
Yeah.
person in that role for me to come in and work with.
Yeah, I've known his wife Sarah, great librarian, still in Fairfield for a long
Yeah.
time. Great, yeah, good people.
Yeah, he's going to be hard to replace. Yeah.
So since you've been here, pretty stable workforce. You haven't had a lot of it. And is Alvo Gel is still doing his thing?
Still is. Yeah. Yeah.
Part-time or?
Yeah.
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 I
I'll still get
suspect-
emails at 4:30 in the morning. So.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Well, that's
He's not up
impressive.
early. He hasn't gone to bed yet. Yeah.
Interesting. That's impressive.
Oh yeah. He's been an incredible mentor and really a friend for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get together with other town managers around the area like once a month or so, or not that often, Sean?
We do our quarterly lunches.
Quarterly lunches.
With them, yeah. In fact, we hosted my first month here, and it's my turn then next month or in January. But yeah, we do. We had the statewide VTCMA meeting in Montpelier in October, which is just good. We kind of get together and commiserate and have just good meetings and learn stuff. But personally, I've grown pretty close to a few of the Franklin County managers.
Yeah.
Bill Sheets, Sarah, John, Enos Berg.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good crew.
Yeah.
They've been very helpful for, dare I say, a Flatlander as an outsider to come in and help me. Helped lower the learning curve quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Starting to work on the next budget. Is that work underway?
sure is.
Sure.
Last night we had our second one.
me.
Don't remind
Just having a good day. Yeah, I was good.
How early on, or maybe not that early on, is this looking like not too tough a budget for the town? Of course, with the police issue, that's certainly been an issue.
Well, the final numbers for the police are coming back, December 11th?
Yeah,
All
that's the
Something
next
like that.
police
That's
board.
Yeah.
And then we can have a meeting to finalize our budget.
Yeah,
I think we're roughly looking at 8%.
yeah,
That's draft two. That's not
Yeah.
nailed and set
Yeah.
in stone yet, but that's where we are
Yeah.
currently
Yeah.
with our budget.
And 95% of that is insurance and police. Yeah.
really,
For our fringe benefits and police.
yeah.
Right across the health insurance increases is
What, like
15%, 20%,
Right,
depending on
so-
what package they have.
All
Like
right.
every department, it's health insurance. Like it's just.
Well, that's sounds like the big issue in Vermont, the affordability issue,
Yeah.
which certainly Republicans went to town with during the election and finally got rid of the Democratic supermajorities and stuff, but that sure seemed to be the huge issue with just property taxes, especially
Yeah.
on the education front.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Do you remind people, I'm sure I mentioned this before, I'm sure you do, that municipal taxes are roughly
Separate.
about one-third of one's tax bill.
we're right. They're separate, but it's still
But
there.
it's still-
It's still there.
It's still
But
there.
hopefully the Republicans this year can get the whole school funding thing maybe somewhat resolved.
Well, that
or-
sounds like, it just, it's just so complicated. If people can understand, don't even,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even attempt to go there. It just seems like they've
Yeah.
got to somehow get a better handle on that.
Yeah. And that's actually, truth be told, why our DPW guy left.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yep.
Really?
He owned his own home, and he said it became too much. So, fortunately,
Interesting.
I like to say that publicly when I can because I think it's important to
Yeah.
see the actual effect of the education.
New Hampshire blows
tax.
my mind. On my trip, I stopped on the end of my trip for about a week, stopped to see a friend in Grantham, New Hampshire, the Eastman community, kind of but it's still, New Hampshire still blows my mind. No sales tax and no state income tax. Of course, I
Tolls.
did ask her about property taxes, and they're
Yeah.
huge as they'd have to, but still,
Tolls
I
and
don't
property
know
tax,
how
yeah.
they do it. Anyway, well, on that note, gentlemen, good to see you. Thanks for the time. Happy
you.
Thanksgiving to
And
you folks and everybody out there. Thanks to producer Alan Cunningham, my key guy out there. And again, we appreciate you watching us here on Northwest Access TV. But again, thanks to Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman, Sean Adkins, the St. Albans Town Manager. Happy holidays to you folks and everybody else out there. And we'll see you next time. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See ya. Thanks.